Let's see how we can use the HLOOKUP function in Google Sheets. We have the HLOOKUP function Google Sheet open and it has the data template we require. In the first row, we have the serial number, from 1 to 10. Using the sequence function. With rows 1, columns 10, start 1, and step 1. In row 2, we have the employee ID, as given in the B2 to K2 range. In the third row, we have the employee name from A to J. In row 4, we have the department in which the employee with name given in row 3 with employee ID given in row 2 works. In the A7 cell, we have the drop-down for the employee IDs, so we have the same list of IDs given in the B2 to K2 range. And an extra ID 200, which is not in the range. Let's select the employee ID 11 for now. In the B7 cell, we want the employee name whose ID is the same as the value selected in the A7 cell. In the C7 cell, we want the department of the employee whose ID is the same as the value selected in the A7 cell. For this, we will use the HLOOKUP function, which does a horizontal lookup. It takes search key, range, index, and optional is sorted as arguments. An example is shown. For our case, we will write, equal to HLOOKUP, the search key, the value with which we will search the employee name or department will be the one in A7. Let's lock A7, using the F4, or function plus F4 keys, as the case may be, comma, the range we will take from B2 to K4. Let's lock this range as well. One thing to note is that, the first row in the range should always be the row in which we have the search key, comma, index, so if we want the employee ID, the index will be 1. If we want the employee name, the index will be 2, if we want the department, the index will be 3, now for B7 cell, we want the employee name, so the index will be 2. Comma, optional is sorted can be false or 0, if we want exact match and true or 1 if we want approximate match, for now we want an exact match so we will write 0. We see that, we get the employee name, A, for employee ID 11. Now, let's change the employee ID to say 22, the employee name changes to B. Now, let's drag this formula to the C7 cell. Since we want the department, we will just change the index in the formula from 2 to 3. We see that, we get department 4, for employee with employee ID 22. Let's change the employee ID back to 11. We see that, we get department 1, for employee with employee ID 11. Now, if we check for the employee ID 88, we get the name H, and department is department 4. Let's check for the employee ID 200, since this employee ID is not in the given range, we get N, A, error, did not find value 200 in HLOOKUP evaluation. Let's change the employee ID back to 11. Next, suppose we have huge data with many rows, and we do not want to change the index from 2 to 3 and so on every time, that is, we want the data to be updated at once instead of changing the index value every time. Instead of passing 2 as the index argument, we can use the row function, which gives the row number of the specified cell. It takes cell reference as argument, An example is shown. We will write row A3, we will get the row number of the A3 cell, that is 3, here we wanted an index of 2, so we can just subtract 1, that is 3 minus 1, so we will get an index of 2. We see that we correctly get the employee name as A, the same as we got using the index as 2. Let's remove the formula from the C7 cell. Now, instead of row A3 only, we will give the range A3 to A4, so it will automatically take the rows 3 and 4, and subtracting 1 from these values we will get 2 and 3 respectively, the index we require. Since the argument for row is an array, we will have to use the array formula function over the entire formula. But we will get the name and department in one column, we want it in one row, so we will use the transpose function over this formula. We see that, in one go we get the employee name, A, and department as department 1 for the employee ID 11, selected in cell A7. If we change the employee ID to say 33, we see that the employee name is C and department is department 2. If we change the employee ID to say 55, we see that the employee name is E and department is department 3. If we check for employee ID 88, the employee name is H and department is department 4. Similarly, we can check for other values as well. Now suppose, we wanted the serial number instead of employee name or department, for the given search key. Could we have done this using HLOOKUP? No, because the HLOOKUP will always search below the search key row, it cannot search above the search key row. This is one limitation of HLOOKUP. Another limitation is that it can only do a horizontal search, not a vertical search. Yet another limitation is that if the search key appears more than once in the data range, only the first value is taken. We cannot get the subsequent values using HLOOKUP. With this, we have successfully learned how to use the HLOOKUP function in Google Sheets. Thank you for your time. Please like, share, and subscribe if this video was useful.